I was sitting in the back of our car, looking at our 10-month-old daughter, when suddenly a drunk driver drives into the door I'm sitting next to. Fortunately, my daughter and my husband were okay, but unfortunately, I got a really bad neck injury. And after about 4 years in rehabilitation, my doctor tells me, Birna, I think it's time that you stop trying so hard to heal your body and come into terms with the fact that you cannot work. I think you should stop all those experiments and start to adjust your life around this fact. Thankfully, I can be stubborn, so I kept experimenting. And one of the things I learned was to rewire my brain to reduce chronic pain. And I learned that during the accident, my brain started to change, so like after the accident. So my brain started to feel pain more often, so my brain created connections towards pain. And the more the pain does something, the easier it becomes for the brain to do it. So my brain created connections that were like a highway. And it was easy for my brain to experience pain. And I also learned from neuroscientists that I could change this highway into a bumpy road. So the saying goes, if you don't use it, you lose it. So my goal was to change this highway into a bumpy road by not using it. So every time I noticed that I was driving this highway, I said yes, because I really wanted to notice that I was driving that highway. And I took the next exit ramp and redirected my thoughts towards gratitude. And I believe life happens for me, not to me, and that I can always find a silver lining if I look for it. And in this case, I learned a lot about rewiring my brain, and I'm super grateful that I can work today and follow my dreams. And as a creativity expert, I thought to myself, okay, how can I use this knowledge to help people rewire their brain to enhance their creativity? And you probably know of growth mindset, but have you heard about creative mindset? So creative mindset is people believe that they can, with hard work and dedication, increase their creativity. And the great news is we are all creative and we can all become more creative. And we can rewire our brains to become more creative, just like I was able to rewire my brain from the car accident. And I'm often asked, okay, I believe you, I can rewire my brain, and where should I start? And my answer is, you should start with your why. Because as I mentioned, it takes hard work and dedication to rewire the brain, and having our why can make it easier to do those things. And your why could be that you know that World Economic Forum put creativity at the top of their list of skills that will grow the most in importance in coming years. Or you might want to increase your creativity because you know using your creativity can actually help you feel better. Or you might want to increase your creativity because you want to have a positive impact on the world, and more creativity can help you with that. So my personal reason is that I love witnessing my brain becoming better at something, and also as an entrepreneur, I see the true value of creativity, so it's easier for me to solve all the challenges on my way. And when you have your why, it's time for the how. And when I was learning about rewiring the brain, I learned it's mostly about repetition and also about knowledge about the brain. So you might ask, okay, what should I then repeat? And you can repeat being curious. So being curious is actually really powerful. And as Albert Einstein said, I have no special talent. I'm only passionately curious. So curiosity can lead us down rabbit holes, and it can help us question the status quo. It can help us question whether we are solving the correct challenge, and it can lead us to new experiments and new ideas. So in enhancing our curiosity is really powerful, and life is full of opportunities to enhance those and enhance our curiosity. So the saying goes that people, the biggest challenge people face is believing they should not have challenges. But life is full of challenges, which means life is full of opportunities for us to enhance our creativity. And so I recommend that next time you have a challenge, that you focus on being really curious about it. And you do it again and again and again and again. And by doing so, you create new connections in your brain. And the more you use them, the more they become like a highway. It makes it easy for your brain to be curious. And being curious is really powerful. And when we do it again and again, it's like going to the gym. It's not enough to do it once to go to the gym. We need to go again and again to see some changes. And when we have what we're going to repeat, it's time to know more about the brain. And a fun fact, my name is Birna, and if you rearrange the letters in my name, you can spell brain. And I love to learn about the brain. And knowing about the brain can actually help us rewire our brain. So I'm going to see a few things you can think about when you rewire your brain to become more creative. And one of them is to understand that the world is full of information, and it's hard for us to be aware of all this information because it's way too much. And our brain has been described as our personal assistant. This personal assistant decides what you are aware of. You might have, for example, be playing the game Yellow Car, where you get a point for spotting a yellow car, and then you feel like there are a lot more yellow cars in traffic than you're used to. And this is your personal assistant helping you notice what you're asking for. So it's a bit like fine-tuning the recommendation algorithm. So the more you pay attention to something, the more you will see of it. And when you're solving a challenge, pay a lot of attention to it, because you're more likely to notice something random, connect things in a random way to create something new. And I recommend that you have a creative journal where you write down your challenge and you add everything you think of related to the challenge in that book. And by doing so, you're telling your brain, this is important to me, because you keep thinking about it, and you're more likely to notice something new. And remember, tomorrow you're a different person than today, so you might be able to add something new, even though you're not aware of it. Your personal assistant might have been gathering information that can help you solve your challenge when you pay attention to it. So when you have paid attention to it and you get an idea, it's important to give your personal assistant or your brain a positive feedback. And just like when you notice an idea, it's good to say yes, to celebrate it, because then your brain gets a message that this is important to you to notice this, and you're more likely to notice more. And when you notice more ideas and your brain has started working on this challenge, it's important to take breaks. So it's like hitting that update now button on our phone or on our apps. We need those breaks where we're not doing anything for our brains to rearrange information and also to connect things in a new way and to delete unnecessary information. So when we hit that update now button, the brain is actually working, but it can help us with creativity. And doing yoga, meditation, going out for a walk in the woods, it can be like hitting that update now button. And also, you, for example, might have been taking a shower, or just before you fall asleep, you get those aha moments. And that is because your brain has been calm enough to rearrange everything and brings up those ideas. So taking breaks and allowing your brain to relax is really important for our creativity. And to demonstrate my next point, I want to ask you to imagine you have a piece of paper in front of you. And I want to ask you to close your eyes and imagine that you're drawing a house on this paper. Okay, so I'm gonna ask, how many of you draw a house similar to this one? Yeah. And I've asked several hundred people to draw a house like this, not like this, just to draw a house, and majority of people draw a house similar to this one. It might be in 3D, or the windows are maybe in different places, but it's a square with a triangle roof. And this is a great way to emphasize how our highways work. So most of you that drew a house like that have a highway towards an idea like that. And our brains, they're always trying to save energy if something unexpected would happen later on today. So they go towards the highway, not the bumpy roads. And so the more you have drawn a house like that, you're more likely to draw it again. And this is really good to be aware of, because we can use that to our advantage. And when we know of it, it's important to come up with many ideas. So the saying goes, the best way to come up with a good idea is to come up with many ideas. And when I ask people to draw more houses, and none of them can look the same, I start to see houses like this, with a different kind of roof, or for example, a snow house. And then we also see maybe like a more fairy tale house, like this mushroom. So this is a really interesting thing to be aware of when we are creating, to come up with many solutions. And then we can overrule this bias of the brain. And when we have come up with the ideas and we choose one we're going to follow through on, it's time for the experiments. and it can be intimidating for the brain to come up with experiment, and it doesn't work out as you thought. As some people, some brains feel sensitive towards that. So the trick I use is to imagine that I'm a scientist, and I don't have experiment, like I do experiments, but I'm doing experiments on hypotheses. So it puts me further away from the experiment, and I'm doing a hypothesis, and so it's easier to see the results from that hypothesis when I imagine I'm a scientist. And that is a good trick also when we're doing experiments. And then the final secret sauce to this recipe, and that is to have fun. So research indicates that having fun can actually enhance our creativity, and it can make rewiring more successful. So focusing on having fun while we are creating can actually enhance our creativity and make rewiring more successful. So now we have the recipe, how you can use repetition and knowledge about the brain to rewire your brain to become more creative. So you create better highways, so the brain is more likely to go towards creative thinking. And just like I was able to rewire my brain after the car accident, you can rewire yours to increase your creativity. So let's build better highways together.